again, everybody. Okay, so hopefully you've all printed out the first 9 pages of the packet, and I'll go through this with you so that you have an idea of the routines and practices and learning activities for Module 1. So the first page should have your school name and the logo. That's the cover page. You can turn that over. The second page says Schedule, Unit 1, Building the Foundation, Respectful, Positive, and Safe Interactions. Now you'll see the 5 modules that make up the Generation Text Online framework. For now, we're just going to work on Module 1, which is Active Listening, Respect, and Eye Contact. You'll see below it is Unit 2, and once we have all 5 modules under our belt, we'll be presenting you with hundreds of videos that will allow you to present typical conflicts or issues or problems that age appropriate that kids have, and help to practice how to resolve those problems, how to self-advocate, how to solve these problems, to look at what they could do differently next time if they had a situation. And once you've done this over and over, you'll be able to do this off the cuff and deal with any kind of thing that happens during your day. So below that, you'll see it says Gen Text Coach. So I'm going to be your coach. My name is Jill Brown, J-I-L-L. My last name is Brown, B-R-O-W-N. My email is jill.brown at, all one word, Generation Text Online. That's Generation Text, T-E-X-T, online.com. My phone for calling and texting me is 781-820-6629. That's 781-820-6629. And below it, you'll see it says online meetings, and you have the digital copy of this. So when we do meet online, you will just copy and paste that link, and then it will ask you to join and meet. The first time, you'll go right into my room, but each additional time, you'll have to put in the meeting ID, and that's actually my phone number, and that's how we'll connect. You'll need that because not only will you have this training today by video, but I will be meeting with each participant once a week on an online coaching situation, so I can support you in implementing this in your everyday activities and teaching and learning. Okay, so if you turn to the next page, it says Preparation. And it says, prior to meeting your students, please consider these ideas. So if you have a chance, I'd ask that you would watch the videos in 1 through 3. I'm going to ask each of you to keep a journal on your students, either a notebook, or some people like to get like a nice looking journal. And at the top of the page, of each page, I'll write a student's name. And every week, you'll just go through that journal and just jot down something about that student, about their personality, about who they are as a person. And you'll see as we go through that how we're going to use that information. The second part says Strategies for Communicating with Today's Youth. And you'll see these are the 21st century teaching and learning strategies that we're going to help you learn how to do, not just in this framework, but implement throughout your curriculum. And the last says the 8 essential questions. And that's actually in Module 5, but you'll get a copy of that and you'll be allowed to use that and print that out and let kids draw on that and write their answers on that. So we'll get to that later. The next page, if you turn, has a picture of a body in it. And what this is an exercise I like to do with teachers about trying to understand the individual student. And we believe that similar to a car, inside a car is a gas tank. And if you want the car to run really well, you'll fill the gas tank all the way up. Well, it's the same thing that we believe inside each child. We believe that there's a love tank. And if that love tank is completely full, that child will be able to act and respond in a very, very good and positive and full way. If that love tank is not full, the child will do things in order to fill their own tank. And it also is a really good visual to understand that if something happens to a child where they're embarrassed or humiliated or scared, what that does, how that decreases their tank. So if, you and I will probably end up doing an exercise where we think about a student and we'll shade in their tank together. So you can just leave this for now. But it's also a really good resource to use with your students if you're talking with students and they're talking about another student who's either always copying them or always bothering them. We're going to actually take out this picture and ask them to think about that person and how full their love tank is. It's just kind of a visual in order to help people think about how somebody else might be feeling inside, and it helps to build tolerance of other people and acceptance. So keep that in your packet. Okay, the next page, it says Module 1, Active Listening, Eye Contact, and Respect. And you have your essential questions. What is active listening? What does it mean to show respect? Why is eye contact important? And how do active listening, respect, and eye contact relate to creating and maintaining a positive and safe learning environment? The objectives are to provide practices so that your students can, 1, identify what respect looks like in regard to eyes, ears, mouth, and body in relation to peers to staff and staff to students. Also, to demonstrate active listening and eye contact. Number 3 is to build character traits, including empathy, compassion, trust, acceptance, respect, and citizenship. And 4 is to develop a climate within your group that includes listening, observing, and expressing interest in others. Okay, moving right along. Turn to the next page, and you'll see a piece of paper that says ongoing practices and routines. So there's 3 practices here. The first practice is something we'd ask you to start implementing first day of school. What you'll do is you'll stand at the door, and as each student enters your classroom, you'll stand at the door, you'll give them eye contact, you'll stop them, shake their hand, you'll say hello, and you'll say something positive to them. So you're going to have to actually be sure that each student stops and looks at you in the eye. Johnny, look at me. And then you say something positive to build them up. So if you are a classroom teacher and you have your kids all day, you may do it once in the morning, once in the afternoon. If you are a middle school or high school teacher where kids are coming in and out, just be sure to do it when they walk in. Now, I know it takes a little bit of extra time, but what I would like you to do is to try it and to do it, because it will gain a lot of time in the end as far as kids being better at learning and better at achieving, because it's going to build something slowly as you move on with your class as the months move on. Practice number 2 is setting the expectations for respecting each other. So when your students walk in at the beginning of the class and they sit down, you set the expectations by saying, before we start learning today, let's take a moment to think about what it looks like to respect each other while we're learning. Let me ask you guys a question. This is what you would say to your class. If you want to show respect to me while I'm teaching, what would you do with your eyes? And as you ask that question, let people answer. Let several people answer. People might say, look at you, eye contact. Some might say, they might do this. Let them do it in their own way. Let them be an active learning participant. And I would choose one or two students to go to the board and have them actually draw that on the board. Again, it's just giving a visual so that we're responding to what the 21st century learner needs in order to learn and infuse what you're teaching them in their everyday life. Then you want to say, if you want to show somebody that you care about them while they're talking, so let's say Johnny answers a question and you want to show him you care about him, what would you do with your ears while he's talking? And you let people say, listen, like this. And then also the same thing, what would you do with your mouth? If you wanted to show me respect while I was teaching, what would you do with your mouth? And it's fun because everybody's going to answer in a different way. Either you call on people or you let them say it out loud. Some people will go, some people will close it. People will say it in a different way, and that's good. Have them go to the board and draw that. So that's something that should be done every day before the lesson happens, either in the morning or the afternoon. Set the expectations beforehand. Okay, that's the practice 2. And at the bottom, you'll see 2 little asterisks. One, it says that it is imperative to use questions in order to require students to use their thinking skills. Okay, not just like quiet. You want them to think and to practice thinking when they're showing respect. Not just repeat what you told them to do, or sometimes kids get offended or angry and they'll do the opposite because they don't like being told, or they felt embarrassed the way you said it, or they just they get defensive. The second one is please respond positively when your students answer your question. So when you do answer a question, make sure you say great answer, or thank you, or yes, because there is more than one correct answer, and you want people to feel good about raising their hand and giving an answer. You want to praise them for contributing to the conversation. Okay, so next page, it says Module 1, Learning Activity, 15 to 20 minutes. You'll see that if you'd like to just watch a video and have me explain it, you can copy and paste that YouTube link right there, and I'll explain it on video. Or you can go down to the last video, and you can just play the video for the students, and the video will explain this activity to your students. But what it is, it's the name game. And so everybody gets in a circle. We're going to practice eyes, ears, and mouth, respecting each other. Everybody gets a turn. The name game is when the first person goes and says their name and something that they like that begins with the same letter as their name. So I'm Jill, and I like jumping rope. And then the person to my right will go, let's say his name is Victor. So he first introduces me. This is Jill. She likes jumping rope. My name is Victor, and I like violins. And then the third person goes, and they have to introduce us, and it goes around. This activity, it allows you to practice eye contact, active listening, and respect. It allows each person to be an active learning participant. It allows everyone to have a good time and to build community because everybody's helping each other and laughing. So have fun with it. And it's, if you're starting this on day one, this might be an activity you want to try that first week of school. Great way to learn each other's names, and a great way for teachers to learn the kids' names. So the next page, it has practice number 3. And there's a little mailbox teacher note. And the note to teacher says, if the teacher observes other students talking and not paying attention to the student who is speaking or to the teacher is going to stop the game or the lesson. This is throughout from now on, the practice. And rather than addressing the student directly, you can ask the class, what should we be doing with our eyes when Jennifer's talking? And just let them answer. Don't say it meanly. Don't be mad. Just ask the question and then quickly move on. Okay, go ahead. Where should your, class, if you notice somebody is looking in their bag or is looking at their phone, class, what should we be doing with our bodies right now while so-and-so is sharing? So just use the question. I think it's good if you try to do it as a class question. You may have to do it individually. You may quietly go up to a student and ask the question as not to embarrass them in front of other people. But get them thinking and allow them to change their behavior by asking them a question and using inquiry. Okay, moving right along, the last page in this is ongoing name game learning activities. And there are three other learning activities. It's basically using the same circle game idea so that we can practice eye contact, active listening, and respect. A fun version of this circle activity is saying your name and something you did over the summer that begins with the same letter as your name. So I'm Jill, and I like jumping off the boat. And then Victor goes, and he says, this is Jill. She likes jumping off the boat. I'm Victor. I like to go on vacation. And so that's really fun and a good way to get to know each other. Learning activity 3, another version is to incorporate this into a lesson that you're teaching. So I was just talking to a science teacher, and she was talking about variables and that they were trying to solve a problem in science. And she had her group sitting in a circle, and she had everybody going over the different variables that could affect the outcome of the science experiment. And so she had everybody do the memorization game, and everybody saying a different variable. So there's so many ways you could do that depending on what you're teaching. That's something that I'll help you with when I'm doing the coaching. And then the learning activity 4 is if you choose to do this on an ongoing basis, you can make it a little bit harder and do first names and last names. So I'm Jill Brown, and I like jelly beans. So you could kind of do that as well. And that just makes it harder, but you'll have a lot of kids helping each other, and it'll really create a lot of camaraderie. So have fun with these, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you and coaching you along the way. So have a great time, and please call me or email me if you have any questions. Thank you.